All right, quiz tomorrow. Quiz tomorrow on the first 4 sections. So 8.1 to 8.4. So let's go through homework. Everybody take it out, page 552. 552. To me, these will be the hard ones on the quiz. So if you can handle these, the rest of the quiz honestly shouldn't be too bad. So let's start with the last one, 62. What's 10? How do you do 10a squared plus 11a plus 3? What's step 1? List all the ways to get to a 10. 10 and 1. 5 and 2. That's it, right? List all the ways to get to a 3, which is 3 and 1. One of the 2 lists you have to list both ways. I typically use the shorter list. And then what am I looking for? Outsides and insides have to add to 11, right? So outsides give us 10, 3. Nope. 30 and 1. Nope. 5, 6. Yes. So we've found our magic combo, right? What does that mean about my answer? Where do these 2 numbers go? 5x and 2x in that order. These 2 numbers are the second numbers, so 3 and 1, right? This means my signs have to be the same, and now they're both positive, right? There's our answers. Let's try a minus one, like number, let's do 56. 2x squared minus 7x minus 4. Step 1, what are all the ways to get to a 2? 2 and 1. What are all the different ways to get to a 4? 4 and 1, 2 and 2. And then again, one of the 2 ways, one of the 2 lists, you have to list in both directions, right? Outsides and insides, what are we looking for this time? Subtract. Remember, this sign right here tells us how we're going to get to the 7. So we're subtracting the 7 now. So we're looking for probably like, if it's 2 and 4, what 2 numbers are you probably thinking of that are going to get to 7? I'm thinking like 8 and 1, right? Like 2 and 4, I can get an 8. So I'm thinking it's probably, my guess is it's probably this 4 and 1 here with one of those 2. Outsides give us 2 and 4. Nope. Outsides are 1 and 8. Yup. So there's our combo. So what's my answer? 1x and 2x. What goes here? 4 and 1. What does this mean? My signs have to be different. Bigger one's negative. Don't look at the 4 and the 1 to figure out which one's negative or which one's bigger. You have to look at the product. Do we want the 1x to be negative or the 8x to be negative? We got to end up with a negative 7. So the 8 has to be the negative and the 1x has to be positive, right? In order for the 8 to be negative, the 4 has to be the negative. And then that's that one. How are we doing with these? Good? Does anybody want to go through any more? The only other one that will be on the quiz that be careful of is a problem like number 50, where it's negative 3x squared plus 16x minus 16. What's the first thing you have to do with these? You got to pull out that negative 1, because we never want to factor with that first term a negative, which would turn that into a positive, which would turn this into a negative, and turn that into a positive. And then all we have to do is keep that negative 1 out in front of our final answer. And now we can kind of basically just ignore it because we just know it's part of our answer. What are all the ways to get to a 3? 3 and 1, 1 and 3, right? 16, how do I get to a 16? 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. What am I trying to do? Add to 16, right? All right, let's start. Well, it's not going to be 3 and 16. That's way too big, right? So 3 and 8 make 24 and 2. Nope. 12 and 4. Yeah, that works. So, what goes here? 3x, 1x, 4 and 4. This means my signs have to be... Oh, well, am I looking at the right one or should I be looking here? This means my signs have to be same, both negative. Now, Abby, I need you guys to all see this. I need you to pay attention to this. Because if I give you a question like this, and it's a multiple choice test, this could be the answer. Or this could be the answer. Are both of those two things the same thing? Yes. This and this are the same thing. You can mix and match the full parentheses. Okay? What would be another way to write this answer? 2x plus 1 and x minus 4, right? That's fine. These two things are the same thing. But is this the same thing? Can I just like move those two back and forth? No. Can I write x and 4, 2x and 1, and can I put that as the negative and that as the positive? No, that's also wrong, right? The only thing that is the same is if you take the whole parentheses and flip-flop those. That's fine. Does that make sense? And that's true in this section and the section before that. Is there any other questions on section 4? Anything on the homework? Okay. Let's turn those in. Section 3, I'm really hoping, are now really easy questions. Section 3 were these. We called these the easy type. What's the one thing you don't have to worry about anymore? We don't need this list, because this list is just going to be 1 and 1 all the time. Now all I need to do is worry about this list. 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. No. See if you're paying attention. 4 and 8. 6 doesn't go in there. 7, 8, all right. And now what am I looking for? Which combo adds to 12? 4 and 8. Or 8 and 4. Okay, this sign means my signs have to be the same, both negative. I'm hoping those are the easy ones now. After we've done the ones where you got to do both lists, these should be a whole lot easier now. So if I give you a problem like x squared minus 4x minus 45, what am I looking for? Two numbers that multiply to 45 and subtract to 4. What are two numbers that multiply to 45 and subtract to 4? 9 and 5. And again, if you need to, write out the full lists. These I'm hoping you don't have to write out the full list because you're just going through those in your head. It's one list of numbers. I'm looking, this means my signs have to be different. The bigger one's negative. So the 9 would be our negative. The 5 is our positive. And again, this answer would be the same as this answer. These two things are the same thing. That's section 3. So that's half your quiz, those two sections. Half your quiz are going to be factor those types of numbers. Are we good with those? Okay. So we had 4 types of factoring. We had what I called the easy type, which is the ones we just did, right? We had the ones that I called the fun type, right? These are the two we just talked about, right? These are the easy type ones, right? And when I put a number like a 3 in front, these are the ones I call the fun type. So that's half of the quiz right there. What are the other 2 types of factoring? GCF and grouping. Okay? So what do the GCF ones look like? How do you do factor by GCF? You'll have something like 4x squared y to the 4th minus 10x to the 3rd y to the 3rd. What can I divide both of those two numbers by? 2. What else does this term and this term have in common? They both have at least 2 x's and at least 3 y's, right? Great. Divide this by that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. If I pull out the 2 x's, none of those left. 1 y, right? Minus 5, 1x, no y's. And basically we're undistributing, right? You just got to come up with what you're supposed to distribute. And remember the check, do these two things have anything in common? Nope, then you know you pulled out the biggest number. You pulled out everything you could. If this is 2 and this is 10, then well, there's something they still got in common. You didn't pull out a big enough number. All right? What is another way to check all of these to make sure? Distribute it back out. Or for these, foil them back together. See if it gets to that. Check your answers. Make sure they're right. Are we good so far? Generally speaking, how do you recognize when to do grouping? You'll see something like, oh, I don't want to do that one. Let's do 15x squared minus 10x to the 3rd plus 8x. Why am I thinking grouping? How is this one different than the other ones? How many terms are there? 4 terms. And when I see 4 terms, first thing I would think of, do they all have something in common? Can I pull something out of all 4? Is there a number you can divide 15 by that you can also divide 8 by? No. I can't pull anything out. So that method of factoring failed. Now I'm thinking grouping. So what can I pull out of just the first 2? 5? Is that it? X squared? Right? Great. Pull it out. What do you got? Just the 3 minus 2x Okay. What can I pull out of those two? 4? Yeah? So do it. What do I get? 2x minus 3. Now, is this and this the exact same thing? Are they? That's a positive 3. That's a negative 3. That's a negative 2. That's a positive 2. They're not the same thing, but they're close. What could I have done that would make them the same? Instead of pulling out a positive 4, what actually should I have pulled out? I should have pulled out here a negative 4, right? And if I were to divide by negative 4, this 8x would turn into a negative 2x, and that'd be a positive. Now are these two things the same? Yes. So now I can divide by that 3 minus 2x, and what would I have left? 5x squared minus 4. Are we good? Any questions on those factoring? The last questions on the test, or the quiz tomorrow, I'll give you something like 270 x to the third, y to the fourth, z squared. Oop, I wanted a 0 on that. We'll say 270, and I'll say 144 x squared, y to the sixth, z to the fifth. And I'm going to ask you for the GCF. What's the first thing you got to do? What do you got to do with this 270? Break it down. What's 270 break down into? How about 10 and 27, right? If it ends in a 0, divide by 10. It makes it easy. 10 is 5 and 2. 27, 9 and 3. 3 and 3. So what is that? You got 1, 2, 3 3s, and a 5, right? And then yes, 3 x's, 4 y's, and 2 z's, right? This is the same thing as that. Now we do the same thing as this. 144, what's that break down into? 12 and 12? 6 and 2, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. And then 2 and 6, 2 and 3, which is the same thing as I got 3 2's and 2 3's. And then, yes, I still have 2 x's, 6 y's, and 5 z's, right? How do you, once you do the prime factorization, how do we find the GCF? What do they both have in common? They both have at least 1 2. They both have at least 2 3's. They both have at least 2 x's, 4 y's, and 2 z's. So my answer, 3 squared is, what's 3 times 3? 9 times 2? 18 x squared, y to the fourth, z squared. That would be my GCF. The only other type of question I might put on the quiz is just purely prime factorization, which means all you're doing is that breakdown. Okay? Is there anybody that has any questions for the quiz tomorrow? Anything at all? Okay, everybody take a look, please, at page 557. 557. Abby, you too. 557. Everything on this page is fair game. So, the first 6 questions, just purely prime factorization. Break it down. And then, ones I just did. Yeah, there's a story problem, but it's just CF. And then, factoring by GCF, pulling out what do they have in common. And then factor by grouping. And then you got the easy type, and then you got the fun types. That's the whole quiz, guys. That's all that's going to be on there. Any questions? Anything you want me to go over? All right, what do you think I want you to do for tomorrow? Huh? Which ones do you think I want you to do? Take a guess. No, I don't want you to do all of them. No, that's not it. I want you to do some of each. Even sounds about right.